Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtike. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, Chapter 6, the liberation of Sarvam Bhattacharya. Somehow I lost my, I think text 55. 55 onwards. So Mahaprabhu is at Sarvam Bhattacharya's house, and all the Nityanand Prabhu, Mukundata, Damodar Pandit, Haridas Thakur, they also reached there. Gopinath Acharya, whose brother-in-law Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he also came, took the devotees to Sarvabhauma's house, and somehow, after a while, after they did the kirtan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came back into external consciousness. And now, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked about his identity. Who is he? Where is he from? And when he learned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is from Nadia, and from a family very well known to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was very happy. So he's saying, Nadiya Sambandhe Sarvabhauma Hrishta Haila Prita Haya Gosai Re Kahite Lagila. Hearing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu belonged to the Nadia district, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became very pleased and addressed the Lord as follows. Sahajahi Puja Tumi Arata Sanyas Atevaha Tomara Ami Nijadas. You are naturally respectable, besides you are a sannyasi. Thus I wish to become your personal servant. A sannyasi is always to be worshipped and offered all kinds of respect by grihasthas or householders. Although Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was older than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma respected him as a sannyasi and as one who has attained the topmost platform of spiritual ecstasy. Thus, the Bhattacharya certainly accepted him as his master. Shuni Mahaprabhu Kaila Shri Vishnu Smarana Bhattacharya Kahe Kichu Vinaya Vachana. As soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this from Bhattacharya, he immediately remembered Lord Vishnu and began to speak humbly to him as follows. Tumi Jagad Guru Sarvaloka Hitakarata Vedanta Padhao Sannyasi Upakarata. Because you are a teacher of Vedanta philosophy, you are the master of all the people in the world and their well-wisher as well. You are also the benefactor of all kinds of sannyasis. Because the Mayavadi sannyasis teach Vedanta philosophy to their students or disciples, they are customarily called Jagat Guru. So same thing happened with, well, Mahaprabhu, after taking sannyas, is going to go to Varanasi, but we have already read that when he went to Varanasi and he was chanting and dancing and Prakashanand Saraswati with his disciples, he also has the same thing. Why don't you sit down and study Vedanta philosophy? You're a sannyasi. So here also, Prabhupada writing that because the Mayavadi sannyasis teach Vedanta philosophy to their students or disciples, they're customarily called Jagat Guru. This indicates that they are the benefactors of all people. Although Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was not a sannyasi, but a householder, he used to invite all the sannyasis to his home and offer them prasadam. Thus, he was accepted as the best well-wisher and friend of all the sannyasis. Ami balak sannyasi bhanda manda nahi jahani. Tomara ashray nilum guru karimani. I'm a young sannyasi and actually have no knowledge of what is good and what is bad. Therefore, I'm taking shelter of you and accepting you as my spiritual master. See, this humility, this humility is what transforms the heart of others. He's Supreme Lord, but so humble that he is saying, "You are my spiritual master." Although later on we'll see how he preaches to Sarvam Bhattacharya. तुम्हारे संग लागी मोर इहा आगमन सर्व प्रकारे करीबे आमाए पालन. I have come here only to associate with you, and I am now taking shelter of you. Will you kindly maintain me in all respects? Actually, Mahaprabhu, another reason for his going to Sarvabhauma's house was to transform him. But he's saying, I have come to associate with you and taking shelter of you. आज ये हैला हमार बड़ई विपत्ति ताहा हैते कैले तुमी आमार अव्याहति. The incident that happened today was a great obstacle for me, but you have kindly relieved me of it. भट्टाचार्य कहे कले तुमी न यह दर्शने अमार संगे जाबे किंवा अमार लोकसाने. The Bhattacharya replied, "Do not go alone to see the deity at the Jagannath temple. It is better that you go with me or my men." Because if you go alone, again, if you fall unconscious, and those security guards, they're going to beat you up, and you can hurt yourself also. प्रभु कहे मंदिर भीतरे न जाइबा गरुडेर पाशे रही दर्शन करीबा. The Lord said, I shall never enter the temple, but shall always view the Lord from the side of Garud Stamba. गोपीनाथ आचार्य के कहे सार्वभौम तुम्ही गोसाई लाया कराय दर्शन. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then told Gopinath Acharya, take Goswamiji and show him Lord Jagannath. Amar matre swasa griha nirjan sthana taha vasha deha kar sarva samadhana. Also, the apartment belonging to my maternal aunt is in a very solitary place. Make all arrangements for him to stay there. Gopinath Prabhulaya taha vasha dela jal jal patra dika sarva samadhan kaila. Thus Gopinath Acharya took Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his residential quarters and showed him where to find water, tubs, and water pots. Indeed, he arranged everything. आर दिन गोपीनाथ प्रभु स्थाने गिया सायो थाना darshan कराइला लाया. The next day, Gopinath Acharya took Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see the early rising of Lord Jagannath. मुकुंदत लाया इला सार्वभौम स्थाने सार्वभौम किच्छु तारे बलिला बचाने. Gopinath Acharya then took Mukundatta with him and went to Sarvabhauma's house. When they arrived, Sarvabhauma addressed Mukundatta as follows. Prakriti Vinita Sannyasi Dekhite Sundara Amara Bahu Priti Bade Iha Rupa. The sannyasi is very meek and humble by nature, and his person is very beautiful to see. Consequently, my affection for him increases. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya got plenty of mercy of Mahaprabhu. So his affection for Mahaprabhu is increasing, but still, because he's a Vedantist, his heart has to be transformed. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya considered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a very humble and meek person, because although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi, he still retained his brahmachari name. The Lord took sannyas from Keshav Bharati in the Bharati Sampradaya, in which the brahmacharis, the assistants of sannyasis, are named Chaitanya. So even after accepting sannyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu retained the name Chaitanya, meaning a humble servant of a sannyasi. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya appreciated this very much. Kon sampradaya sannyas karya chena grihana kiba nami hara shunite haimana. From which sampradaya has he accepted the sannyas order, and what's his name? Gopinath kahe naam Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Guru ihar Keshav Bharti Mahadhanya. Gopinath Acharya replied, the Lord's name is Shri Krishna Chaitanya, and his sannyas preceptor is a greatly fortunate Keshav Bharti. Sarbhoma kahe yar naam sarvotam, Bharati Sampradaya ho hayana madhyama. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, Shri Krishna is a very good name, but he belongs to Bharati community. Therefore, he is a second class sannyasi. So even in sannyas, in Shankar Sampradaya, there is different grades. Gopinath kahe ihar nahi bhaya peksha, ateva bada sampradaya nahi ka apeksha. Gopinath Acharya replied, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not rely on any external formality. There is no need for him to accept the sannyas order from a superior sampradaya. Because Gopinath Acharya knew he is the Supreme Lord himself. So he doesn't need to go through all these formalities. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas from the Bharati Sampradaya or community, which belongs to the disciplic succession of Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya introduced names for his sannyas disciples, and these are 10 in number. Out of these, the surnames Tirtha, Ashram, and Saraswati are considered topmost. In the monastery at Sringeri, the surname Saraswati is considered first class, Bharti second class, and Puri third class. A sannyasi who has very nicely understood the slogan, Tattvam Masi, and who takes his bath at the confluence of the rivers Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati is called a Tirtha. So Tattvam Asi. That, as they understand in Shankar Sampradaya. A person who is very eager to accept sannyas, who is detached from worldly activities, who has no desire for any kind of material facilities, and who is thus saved from repeated birth and death is known as ashram. When a sannyasi lives in a beautiful solitary place in the forest and is freed from all material desires, he is called one. A sannyasi who always lives in the forest and renounces all connection with the world in order to be elevated to heavenly planets, where he can live in the Nandan Kanan, is called Aranya. One who prefers living in the mountains, engaging in the study of the Bhagavad Gita, and whose intelligence is fixed, is called Giri. One who prefers living in great mountains, even among ferocious animals, to attain the summit of philosophical speculation, understanding that the essence of this material world is useless, is called Parvat. So different sannyas grades. A sannyasi who has dipped into the ocean of the absolute truth and collected some valuable stones of knowledge from that ocean, and who never falls from the regulative principles of a sannyasi, is called Sagar. One who has learned the classical art of music, who engages in its culture, and who has become expert and completely aloof from material attachment, is called Saraswati. Saraswati is the goddess of music and learning, and in one hand she holds a musical instrument called a veena. So a sannyasi who's always engaged in music for spiritual elevation is called Saraswati. One who has become completely educated and is freed from all kinds of ignorance and is never unhappy, even in a distressed condition, is called Bharati. One who has become very expert in absolute knowledge, who is situated in the absolute truth, and who always discusses the absolute truth, is called Puri. So all these sannyasis are assisted by brahmacharis, so described as follows. So Prabhupada gave all the 10 sannyas names. So ashram, one, then aranya, then giri, parvat, and sagar, saraswati, bharati, and puri. So all these sannyasis are assisted by brahmacharis, so described as follows. One who knows his real identity and is fixed in a particular occupational duty, who is always happy in spiritual understanding, is called Swarup Brahmachari. One who completely knows the Brahman effulgence and is always engaged in the practice of yoga is called Prakash Brahmachari. One who has acquired absolute knowledge and who always meditates on the absolute truth, knowing the unlimited and the Brahman effulgence, thus keeping himself in transcendental bliss, is called Ananda Brahmachari. One who is able to distinguish between matter and spirit, who is never disturbed by material transformations, and who meditates on the unlimited, inexhaustible, auspicious Brahman effulgence, is a first-class learned brahmachari and is named Chaitanya. So when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was talking with Gopinath Acharya about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sannyas community, he appreciated the first name, Shri Krishna, but he did not like the surname Chaitanya, which is named for a brahmachari belonging to the Bharati community. He therefore suggested that the Lord be elevated to the Saraswati community. However, Gopinath Acharya pointed out that the Lord does not depend on any external formality. Gopinath Acharya was firmly convinced that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Krishna himself, and therefore independent of any external ritual or formality. So if one wants to engage in pure devotional service, it does not require titular superiority as a Bharati or a Saraswati. For him, doesn't matter. Just like in Vaishnava Sampradaya, there is no such distinction that whether he's a Bharati or Saraswati or a Tirtha or a Vana, it doesn't matter. But somehow in that Shankara Sampradaya, that system is still there. So, which is fine, whatever system he has put in place. But just based on that, if we make distinctions, that is not good. The Bhattacharya inquired. Okay, I'm sorry. Bhattacharya kahe yahar prodha yovan kimate sannyas dharma hai berakshan. The Bhattacharya inquired, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in his full-fledged youthful life. How can he keep the principles of sannyas? Nirantara yaha ke vedanta shunaiva vairagya advaita marge pravesha karaiva. I shall continually recite Vedanta philosophy before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so that he may remain fixed in his renunciation and thus enter upon the path of monism. So, Advaita Marge. So this is a huge difference between Vaishnava philosophy and Shankar philosophy. According to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, among sannyasis, the cultivation of Vedanta philosophy helps in becoming detached from sense gratification. So what is, how does it help? Because knowledge that I'm not this body, and this, for them, the material world is all false. Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. And what is there to enjoy in a false place to begin with? So that kind of detaches oneself. But Vaishnava philosophy goes many steps ahead. First of all, Jagat is not Mithya. Jagat is temporary. It comes from Krishna, but it's temporary. It is real, but it's temporary. And obviously, we are not this body. But the Vaishnava philosophy says we use this material body, material world in the service of the Lord. So in that process, this is how we get detached from the material world. Detachment is not from the material world, but from the idea of enjoying it. So the real purpose is to enjoy in the service of Krishna, not enjoying it for myself. Use everything in the service of Krishna. That is a real enjoyment, and it gives the real enjoyment. Thus, a sannyasi can, okay, further, because he gets detached from sense gratification, thus a sannyasi can protect the prestige of wearing a loincloth or kopin. One has to practice sense control as well as mind control and subdue the six forces of speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals. Then one can become expert in understanding the devotional service of the Lord and thus become a perfect sannyasi. But in their philosophy, expert in understanding the devotional service of the Lord. So their understanding is we serve the Lord, they also do bhakti, we can see them also chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but their purpose is to become one with the Lord in perfection. That is a perfection. Our perfection is to become the best servant of the Lord. Huge difference. For that purpose, one must cultivate knowledge and renunciation regularly. When one is attached to material sense gratification, he cannot protect his sannyas order. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya suggested that by the study of Vairagya, renunciation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu might be saved from the clutches of full-fledged youthful desires. So the desires are always there. Maya is always going to attack, but definitely not going to attack Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But this is how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is thinking. And he is thinking favorably, actually. His path could be different, but his thoughts, his desires are perfectly placed. And this is how Mahaprabhu is engaging him in his service. कहें यदि पुनरापि योग पट्ट दिया संस्कार करिए तो तम संप्रदाय आनीय. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then suggested, if Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would like, I could bring him into a first-class sampradaya by offering him saffron cloth and performing the reformatory process again. Reformatory means to give him sannyas diksha again. The Bhattacharya wanted to reinstate Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into the Saraswati Sampradaya because he did not like the lords belonging to the Bharati Sampradaya or Puri Sampradaya. So Puri Sampradaya, because he got initiation from Ishwar Puri earlier. He got sannyas from Keshav Bharati, but he got initiated by Ishwar Puri. Actually, he did not know the position of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As a Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not depend on an inferior or superior sampradaya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead remains in the supreme position in all circumstances. Shuni Gopinath Mukund duhe dukhi haila, Gopinath Acharya kichuka hite lagila. Gopinath Acharya and Mukundatta became very unhappy when they heard this. Gopinath Acharya therefore addressed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya as follows. So we'll discuss this discussion. It's a nice discussion between Gopinath Acharya and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So we'll take it up tomorrow. Stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, in that today's katha, you mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taken Diksha from Lord Shankaracharya. Is that correct, Prabhuji?
In the Shankar Sampradaya.
Shankar Sampradaya. So, Prabhuji, where it actually deviates in the form of, the Shankaracharya Mayavad philosophy, and then this is Vaishnavism, that Gaudiya Sampradaya, which does not follow that Mayavad or Ekanki, that everyone is one.
That's what we were discussing. Na? Vaishnava Sampradaya says we are servants of Krishna. or God. We are not God. Jivera Swarupa Krishnera Nitya Das. But
Acha, but
Mayavadi or Shankar Sampradaya says we are one. Like you said, Ekanki.
so Prabhuji, let's suppose if I take a, you know, diksha from a guru, right? I go through his philosophies and then only take the diksha, or become a student, disciple of guru. So if it differs, that the philosophy differs, then why should I go ahead and take diksha and become a student?
See, Mahaprabhu, as I explained earlier also, when he took Diksha from Keshav Bharati, the sannyas Diksha, so first he gave the mantra to Keshav, the Vaishnava mantra. And then Keshav Bharati repeated the same mantra in Mahaprabhu's ear. So the point was actually why he took from Keshav Bharati, because at that time the sannyasis of Shankar Sampradaya were respected all over. And Mahaprabhu's idea was so that people don't commit offenses, they respect him, they pay obeisances to him, and they get Krishna Prem. They get the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Because that was the reason he came. He took, he came, he incarnated over here. So, to use that system in his favor, so he took sannyas. But just because he took sannyas in Shankar Sampradaya doesn't mean he had to follow the philosophy.
Mm. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Is that okay? Chalo, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.